All right, DeMeco Ryans has completed his interview. It was a long one. It took a while. DeMeco Ryans completed his interview, and the internet went wild because not only does it seem like Texans fans are starting to kind of gas themselves up to where they want DeMeco Ryans to return to where he once played and be the head coach, but he got the J.J. Watt endorsement. This was on Twitter. J.J. Watt. And if you're new to the channel, it is The Locker Room on YouTube. Number one daily source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker, 10 to 2 Monday through Friday, Sports Radio 610, home of the Texans. We talk to players, we talk to coaches, we talk to ownership, and we keep you in the loop, which is what the radio show is called, at Landry Locker on Twitter, at Landry Locker on Instagram. Be sure to like and subscribe because I'm bringing it to you as best I can. And there are a lot of good Texans options digitally, and hopefully that increases as the mood around town gets better than it's been the last couple of years, because rightfully so. It's been a crappy run of Texans football, but there is some excitement right now, and a lot of it centers around the man who interviewed today via Zoom, DeMeco Ryans, and he got the endorsement from J.J. Watt, who said, quote, "As a rookie in Houston, I bought my first house across the street from DeMeco because if Miko thought it was the right place to live, it was the right place to live for me. Captain, leader, smart, tough." He didn't say dependable, thank God, because we know how that feels. Personable, crushed it as DC. He would be a great head coach. So J.J. Watt gives DeMeco Ryans the endorsement, and in H-Town, that's probably the best endorsement that you can get is an endorsement from J.J. Watt. That's one thing that happened today. We'll get into the people are asking about Michael Stanley immediately asked, what's up with Josina Anderson? We'll get into that in a second. But let's just talk about DeMeco Ryans as a candidate and some of the drama that escalated from today. From a candidate perspective, when it comes to the leadership, the it factor, the buzz, where he comes from, DeMeco Ryans, he checks a lot of boxes. He's worked under Kyle Shanahan. He's a football junkie. And he would excite a lot of people for the obvious reasons. He's young, younger than, the coaches that they've had. He's a sought after candidate. A lot of teams want to talk to him. Some people are hesitant. I would say the biggest knock, the knock that you hear most consistently is, well, he's a defensive coach and offensive coaches are the new way of the league, which I get, but it's as simple as you find the right quarterback and that becomes a lot more easy. If the Jets had Trevor Lawrence or Aaron Rodgers, we wouldn't be saying that. They would be in the playoffs right now. When Bill Belichick had Tom Brady, wasn't a problem. When Mike Tomlin had Ben Roethlisberger, wasn't a problem. So we do have examples of offensive coaches having success that maybe don't have elite quarterbacks. The night game tomorrow comes to mind. Mike Kafka and Brian Dable, who, by the way, Kafka's going to interview with the job on Sunday. They're doing a good job, along with Nick Sirianni. But the roster in Philadelphia is very complete, and it's slim. It's kind of slim pickings. I don't think like the defensive-minded thing is as big of a deal as a lot of people do, especially if you are kind of a forward thinker like DeMeco Ryans. I think a lot of the defensive coaches right now, I think a lot of them are kind of old school. Like, how many young defensive coaches do you see? You see Brandon Staley. I know that the offense has been kind of scapegoated, but really some of his own doing is the reason why they're where they're at. It has nothing to do with like his lack of grasp of offense, but I do get it. And it is a thing, and a lot of people are saying it. So that's just kind of the thing that you look at with DeMeco Ryans. Something that was brought up today that was that was in Clinton Jennings says J.J. Watt should get in the Ring of Honor this year. I think it's safe to say that's going to happen. So you don't really have to worry about that. Something that was brought up today was the fact that the Broncos met with DeMeco in person yesterday, and the Texans met with him via Zoom. And you can see the thumbnail on this video. Be sure to like it. Be sure to subscribe. It's a picture of a Walmart plane and then Cal McNair on a computer with the Zoom. I mean, I guess you can say that that's a big deal. I'm trying to get Cody Stutes to come through. Cody Stutes was doing his thing, so I'll talk to Stutes about this, but they don't know that they want DeMeco yet. They haven't interviewed DeMeco yet. I heard it being compared to Caserio when they got in a plane and went and got Caserio. I think at that point they knew they wanted Caserio. They didn't know that they wanted DeMeco yet. So, and it's a Friday. There's multiple teams talking to him today. I think he interviewed with Indianapolis as well. Like, I didn't make as much of them doing it on Zoom instead of hopping in a private jet and going to San Francisco on a walkthrough day before an NFC divisional round game on Sunday. I didn't make as much of it. A lot of people did. And look, the Texans don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. Or at least they haven't earned it. So I don't look as much on that as into that as a lot of people do. So I just really don't. But maybe there is something to it. Maybe that's a big deal. But you know, is Denver seems to be locked in on Sean Payton. And maybe they wanted to go to California anyways, you know, like, I mean, maybe Denver had people that wanted to go to Cali for the weekend anyways. So they were going there and they just decided they would stop through and see DeMeco. I'm sure there's a little bit more to this story than we know, although I do find it interesting that he's meeting with Indianapolis, and I don't know what the hell Indianapolis is doing with their search. I mean, I know you want to be comprehensive and I know you want to talk to a lot of people. The Texans have talked to 8 people, and Ben Johnson doesn't want to be a head coach right now. He wants to go back to Detroit. The Colts have interviewed 14 people so far for this job, like 14. You fired Frank Wright damn near mid-season, and you're talking to 14 people? I mean, I know they'll sell it as like comprehensive, but it just seems a little bit silly to me. And a conspiracy theory is maybe Jim Irsay is just kind of setting it up to where he can hire Jeff Saturday and say, look, we talked to everybody. We had the most comprehensive search in the world, and we talked to everybody, including DeMeco Ryans. And that brings me to the nightmare scenario. And this is under the assumption. Chris Jones is asking who the OC would be. I have no idea. I have no idea who the OC would be. There's some names being floated out there, but I have no clue. I know there is a pretty cool exercise with like the prospective staffs that I actually enjoy seeing. Who does those? Harley Duggan, I think, is his name. He does the prospective staffs. It's just a cool exercise. But yeah, Harley Duggan does a really, really good job on those. He does the staffs, puts a lot of effort into it. And it's just cool to kind of see the possibilities. And usually the names actually make sense. So let me make sure that's his name. Cause I want to give him credit because I think it's a really, really cool thing that he does. Let's see. Harley Duggan. He at the lead _Houston. He has the DeMeco staff. I'll just pull it up right now since we're on this. And we are talking about it. Let me pull up DeMeco prospective staff. Hold on a sec. I got Josina's tweets up. We'll get to that weird stuff. So I'll just replace Harley Duggan here. I know this is like a riveting thing going on right now, but here we go. Here's Harley Duggan right here. So he has the prospective staff, DeMeco Ryans, and he does this with all of them. He has the 49ers offensive pass game coordinator as the OC, Bobby Slowick. He has Mike LaFleur on the staff. These are just potential OCs. Mike LaFleur, Anthony Lynn on there. I do wonder if Mike's going to go work with his brother in Green Bay. But he has those are his three potential offensive coordinators. Also has Wes Phillips, the OC for the Vikings, the son of Wade, rumored to be returning to the Vikings. And then he has Clint Kubiak, who is the pass game coordinator for the Broncos. So he's got a Kubiak and he's got a Phillips in there. QB coach, he goes really in depth on that as well. And then DC has Joe Woods and some other names. So just check it out, because I think it's a really, really cool exercise, and I think people really enjoy it. So shout out to Harley Duggan at the lead _Houston for those. I think you'll enjoy those. I think it's good. I saw someone tried to like be a smartass about it, and dude, if you're being a smartass about a cool exercise like that, you're a weirdo. Like, that's just, I think it's, I don't know who did. I was looking through the comments just to see if people had any other ideas or anything like that, and I saw that there was like one smartass like comment. You're a loser if you're making fun of like a really cool exercise like that fans enjoy. You're either just weird, or you're like, I don't know, just some sort of jackass on Twitter. That's really, really weird. Clinton Jennings says, do you think DeMeco can get Gary Kubiak why, man? Why do we keep trying to bring former Texans out of retirement? Like, I'm hearing like, yeah, JJ Watt can coach, and come on, like, let Gary rest. Gary's enjoying his life. You should see him. You should have seen him at the roast. First of all, he was effing hilarious. The roast of John McClain. It turned into a roast when he went. Gary looks as healthy as he's ever looked. Quit trying to bring Gary Kubiak out of retirement, Clinton. Love you, though. And that seems like a lovely pup you got there. What's up with Josina Anderson? I'll talk about that in a second. I don't know what the hell she is talking about, but that's probably like the sixth comment we've got on it. I'll talk about that. I'll wait till Stutz gets in here to talk about that. Joey wants to know, or he wishes they would have flown to DeMeco. I heard people complaining about it. I just like, is it possible that Denver, like, they have like a West Coast home and they're going out to California anyways, and they just decided we'll stop and say what's up to DeMeco? Like, is that possible? Like, it's a Friday, there's multiple interviews. I don't know. And they don't know that they want DeMeco yet. So if they don't know that they want DeMeco yet, why would they fly to DeMeco without the other candidates? You can't even do the second in-person interview until like, I think it's February 13th. Assuming if the 49ers make a Super Bowl run, I don't think you'll be able to do, I could be wrong, but I think it's like February 13th or something like that. So I don't really know about that. I'm sure Stutz has a theory on it. Black Rain says it's okay for Houston residents to feel the franchise doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt, but not people who only have something to say about Houston teams when there's controversy. Well, people can say whatever. Like, I mean, I'm not a gatekeeper, but I am like a caller of BS. And where's Tony Dungy at, by the way? What's he been up to? I haven't heard anything about him lately, football wise. I know he's about 6 days removed from probably the worst broadcast in the history of sports, but where's he at? Where's old Tony at? I haven't heard much from Tony. Did he figure out that Mike Kafka calls plays for the Giants yet? Did he at least figure that out? You're in a damn studio every Sunday. But I haven't heard him really weigh in on the coaching situation. I haven't heard much from old Tony. Tony D. Texans Mafia, DeMeco would put butts in seats and bring some good players to Houston and hopefully revive the franchise. I would hope so. Here we go again. Love you guys, but damn. Hey, Willock, thoughts on TJ Yates, currently the Falcons receivers coach? We're just trying to bring everybody in, aren't we? Goodness gracious. That's really crazy. I think Travis kind of feels the same way. Texans fans are obsessed with bringing old Texans back. It's pretty funny. It is, man. And we don't even know if they're good at what they do. I've seen like all of these things. I'm not saying, I just don't know what's going on. Trenton asking, what's your thoughts on if it's Gannon in the end? It's Gannon in the end. I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be pumped. I think Arizona just now put in a request for Gannon. I think that's the only other interview that he's gotten this time around. And say what, you can make this connection or not. Monty Austinfort is their GM. He was a Patriot guy too. So him and Nick are the only two. Sean says Tony Dungy is asleep in the booth in Jacksonville. Man, I wish he would have slept. I don't really know. Sean says that Tony Dungy deletes controversial cat tweet. Okay. I don't even know. James says this, and I actually wouldn't be opposed for this. James, Rex Burkhead, new running backs coach, book it. I think Rex would be a good coach. I really do think Rex, if Rex wants to go through the process, damn sure don't want him being on my roster at this point as a ball player. But if Rex wants to be a coach, I think Rex can be a really good coach. I really, really do. Let's bring in Cody Stutes. Cody Stutes, how you doing, my friend? DeMeco Ryans has interviewed. The interview went long. He got the endorsement from J.J. Watt. I think you're a little bit more upset about this plane crap than me. So just lay out your thoughts on the DeMeco Ryans thing and everything else.
The only thing that's going to make me feel okay about them not seeing DeMeco in person, not interviewing him in person, is if they felt like doing that was disrespectful to the 49ers and to the process in which DeMeco's going through. And I've had time to kind of think about that because I heated on the show today earlier because I was very upset that they wouldn't go see him in person. I'm upset that they wouldn't go see any of these guys in person when they had the opportunity to go see them. But as I've sat and thought about it, and as someone who's been the king of do too much sometimes you do too much. And I do wonder if where DeMeco is, and I thought back to Caserio talking about we're going to be respectful to the process that these teams are going through and that these guys are going through. DeMeco's trying to win a damn Super Bowl. So if he didn't want you to be in person, now we don't know that for a fact, but if he didn't want you to be in person, don't be in person. And so that's a good move. But, at this point, it would have looked weird to be the only one in person. If DeMeco was the only one in person, it would have maybe been disrespectful to the other candidates if he was the only in-person interview and those guys weren't in-person interviews. So I've thought about that a lot too. But, man, you just accomplished so much more in person than you would over Zoom. You really do.
I guess. I mean, it's not like you only get one shot. There's going to be, second interviews as the process goes on.
And if Cowherd's, and look, Cowherd's the king of hyperbole. Hell, he killed Mike Tyson earlier this week, if you saw that. So if Cowherd's right and the Texans blew it on Zoom with Sean Payton, it gets you a little worried about Zooming with DeMeco. But
it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It does. Sure it does. Why wouldn't it?
Doesn't.
Why wouldn't it?
It's not the same.
How is it not? Zoom is not the same with
Sean Payton's interviewing you. You're interviewing DeMeco. There'll be questions, but Sean Payton is interviewing you.
Yeah, but DeMeco's got options just like Payton does.
Does he? I mean, I don't know. I think Sean Payton can choose any of the jobs that he's interviewed for. I don't think DeMeco can do that.
Well, he's got options. It's not like you're the only person talking to him. I mean, and if he wants to go back to San Francisco for a year and be the number one candidate again a year from now, he can do that as well. Like, he's got options. So, again, I just want you to maximize the opportunity. That's the guy I want. I want him to hire DeMeco. So, I didn't give a damn if Jonathan Gannon or Shane Steichen or anybody else was pissed they didn't get an in-person interview to start. That wouldn't have mattered to me. I understand why perhaps everybody goes virtual the first time and then you'd move to in-person after that. Your point about they don't even know if they want DeMeco because they have to do more interviewing on DeMeco than he has to do on them. That's a good point. That's a point that I didn't consider as I was getting upset that they were Zooming him and they were Zooming everybody. But I do believe it was worth meeting Payton in person and it was worth meeting DeMeco in person this week.
Sure. I mean, yeah, and the counter to it, like to your point, is Cal's not going to blow anyone away on Zoom.
But he could in person.
Yeah, he could in person. No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying like that's your point, but you know, he does also kind of know them a little bit. Like Payton doesn't know Cal. DeMeco has like a little bit idea about the personality and the awkwardness, and you know, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to Cal, but
that's an advantage.
It's an acquired understanding.
That's an advantage that only DeMeco and you would think Jonathan Gannon possess in this coaching search is they have some familiarity with Cal and the McNair family. Obviously, DeMeco's is more, but Gannon, having went through the process a year ago, he's got a lot more familiarity than, say, Steichen or Kafka or some of these other guys.
I want to try to make sense of the senseless, and I want to talk about the most nightmarish possibility in a sec. But let's try to get to the bottom of this Josina stuff. And I don't want to do – I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything. I think Josina works her ass off. And look, she has sources. She's been around the league for a while. So whatever. But for Christ's sake, like what is going on here? This was just Josina Anderson's first tweet about the DeMeco Ryans thing. And it was just a response to DJ Bieneme saying – the Houston Texans have completed an interview with San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans per source. Shout out to DJ, friend of the show, ESPN.com. Josina then replied, I think DeMeco Ryans should exercise all leverage and only do it with his people or partners in place. Same way other candidates sometimes convey. Will be interesting to see whether ownership and GM arrive on the same page on the finalist, especially with Jay Gannon wanted to be the person last year. All right. End of first tweet. We'll go to the second in a second. Trying to make sense of that. First of all, like I followed this as close as anyone. And I thought that the understanding and the consensus was that they wanted to hire Josh McCown. So I haven't heard Josina Anderson or anyone else say they wanted to hire Jonathan Gannon, but now it seems like they interviewed Gannon last year, so that's the guy they like. It might be, but as far as like use your leverage, you should do that in New England. Like you should do that in Pittsburgh. Like use your leverage, yes, but the Jay Gannon thing, I'm kind of confused by.
So the only thing. Trying to connect the dots that Josina's hinting at here. Let me see if you maybe.
She also just said after that, like, and this is probably not very good reporting, or like, I don't know.
Commentary.
She also said she just hopped in an Uber or something like that. So is she just out tweeting or what?
Well, you know, I mean, I like to fire up the Twitter machine after a few beverages. I'm not saying she does, but I do. Here's the dots I'm trying to connect here on this Josina Gannon tweet. We believe Pep Hamilton was going to be the offensive coordinator damn near no matter what last year. And the defensive staff was a different question, but Pep Hamilton was going to be the OC. And if it was McCown, he was going to be the OC for McCown. Is there any chance, upon realizing that they shouldn't do McCown, that they tried to do Gannon, and then Gannon wanted to pick all his staff, and they said, "Well, no, you got to keep Pep." And then Gannon was like, "Well, I'll just go back to Philly." Like, is that what she's hinting at? That at one point they had a pivot to Gannon, and you know, she says the partners and people in place. Like, if you're Jonathan Gannon, you have to have Pep Hamilton. That might be a deal breaker for you in a job that.
Sure. Or if you have to have Josh McCown, who they obviously have like obsession with, which
yeah. Or if they were trying to force McCown on him in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. So and good for Jonathan Gannon for saying no,
So if that's the case, though, what's the leverage? Like I'm trying to make sense of it. Like you're making sense. You're making sense. She's talking leverage with the Gannon thing. So what's the leverage there based on that? Even if they did want Gannon,
I think what she's trying to say is, if you wanted a guy a year ago and you wouldn't let him hire his own staff, are you going to let this guy hire his own staff?
Okay.
I think that's what I'm trying to just translate from what she said and kind of guessing. Okay. But I would have assumed that any coach they hired this year was hiring his own staff. Nobody's making them keep Pep Hamilton. No one's making them keep Danny Barrett or George Warhop or any of those guys. The
staff was the POS as much as anything. Like the person of service was just as much, and that's weird, but he was just as much on the staff. I don't know, and that's going to be a question if they do hire Jonathan Gannon that they'll probably have to answer. Next tweet from Josina. I guess someone replied, first-year head coach candidate has zero leverage, hasn't been a DC for that long, took Robert Saleh a while to get a head coach, and he was a better DC. Josina said I don't know if he was better or not. I think they're both pretty good. Josina says the situation in Houston is much more tenuous on multiple fronts. That equals leverage for elite candidates. Okay. Sure. Like I don't necessarily disagree, but like what kind of leverage are they talking about?
I mean, the only leverage from a head coach standpoint that DeMeco would have is if he had an offer in hand from somebody else, but he doesn't. I believe Denver is targeting Sean Payton. That's their primary. Who knows what's going on in Indianapolis? They've interviewed half the league.
We'll get to that in a second. DeMeco told Carolina, no thanks. Didn't even care about them. And then Arizona is sort of just kind of there. They've had a kind of a disappointing coaching search. We can talk about that later if we want. But they just hired the GM too.
It's been pretty disappointing down there in Arizona because
they're weird.
They're very strange.
They're not as bad as as the Texans have been recently, but they're weird.
Josina is just kind of talking.
Here we go. This is where it gets real weird. This is Josina talking like JJ Watt gives an endorsement, nothing big. And then Josina says, then there's this timely tweet about DeMeco. Sounds like more leverage to me. What does that mean? That's confusing.
Like the leverage DeMeco Ryans has as he talks to the Texans today is, I'll go be the 49ers defensive coordinator again. It's not going anywhere. We're going to be awesome again next year. And I can go into the coaching cycle again next year. And you're not hiring a new coach next year. So that's the leverage DeMeco Ryans has. Like, this is a point that you've been on for a while. And, my big thing going in this coaching search was shop at the top. And I went through the history of shop at the top candidates, and you pay attention to, who got hired and when they got hired. And most of the time, shop at the top has a pretty good success, has a pretty good track record. But you have candidates over the course of time that weren't shop at the top candidates, turned out to be badass coaches. Sean McVay is one of the best examples. Sean McDermott who knew who Sean McDermott was when the Bills hired him? And
Sirianni.
And Nick Sirianni, that's the guy you talk about all the time. Nick Sirianni, people were crushing Philadelphia for hiring Nick Sirianni. He wasn't even the top offensive mind in his building, and people are all over Philly's ass about that.
And I think that's fair to question. It was fair to question, Frank Reich's calling plays just like it is anything.
And now they're the number one team in the NFC, and they might win the Super Bowl.
Might not. Might have Kafka come through, who interviews on Sunday. I don't know what the Josina thing is. Josina does kind of like, as good as she is, she does kind of have like a feel. And I'm not saying this is like a fact, but like just as someone who plays a lot of follow the source and stuff, she kind of has a feel of someone who's a lot of times she's saying stuff for agents, like she's saying stuff like it's like, would she ever criticize Odell Beckham Jr.? Like, has that been the most telegraphed thing in the world? Like, I mean, there's a lot of telegraphing, so you never know what she's saying. And a lot of times you just kind of assume stuff that I didn't get much substance from what she said there. at all.
No,
but
they're,
neither here nor there.
we're sitting here trying to decode it like it's Egyptian hieroglyphics. If she had something to say, she'd say it. It's just it's too vague to feel like there's some sort of hard and fast situation from what Josine is talking about.
No doubt. Javier, and it is the Locker Room. Like, subscribe, go to Stoots' channel too. Digital content here. I think I'm number one. I'm the best. Stoots is 1B. I'll say that. Stoots is 1B. Where can they subscribe to your stuff, Stoots?
YouTube.com/Cody Stoots 1.
Cody Stoots 1. Yeah, I'm just talking crap. You know how it is.
Well, no, you're number one. I mean, we'll chase you one day. We'll keep the chase up.
Or we can just do.
Look, this ain't gonna be Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, okay?
Okay.
Okay. This ain't
Throw
gonna be
your
Marty
ass through a
Jannetty
mirror.
and Shawn
Throw your ass
Michaels.
through that wall.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a team thing. And shout out to everyone doing digital 713 Sports, doing what he does. And anyone else doing it. Brown Chubby Bear, he's starting to get guests. He's getting a little too guest heavy for me. But Brown Chubby Bear's grinding his ass off too.
This is fun too. And now that we
Spread the
have
love.
this,
Spread the love.
Now that we have this avenue, I mean, this is more fun than paying $9 for a beer on a Friday night that doesn't even taste good and one kept at the right temperature, and then paying $48 for some late night meal that's not even that good. This is way
$48.
I don't know. Sometimes you go.
The hell are you going? You going when I was at my fattest again or something?
You going? Man, I if you hadn't told me to jump on the
$48 for a late night meal,
if you hadn't told me to jump on the
room service at the Marriott or something,
if you hadn't told me to jump on the stream, I was going to get a whole pizza with an appetizer and a dessert. So
we're going to get the Sirianni, the stuffed crust. By the way, before we get to Javier,
I can't believe that's not your guy now.
Bro, he is my guy.
The Eagles staff.
Man, these pizza snobs coming after Sirianni for ordering the stuffed crust. You know how I am. I'm a Pizza Hut addict.
Nobody does a stuffed crust better than the OGs.
Nobody.
Pizza Hut.
Nobody.
And
the other thing is, like, all these pizza snobs, there's some great places to get pie, but 70% of the time the pie is overrated. 70% of it's folded. It's too thin to even carry toppings. It's like the cheese flop, like stuffed crust. Man, come on, bro. Extra sauce, meat lover stuffed crust. Bam.
You know I'm a foodie freak. I love watching food shows. I love eating food, trying stuff.
Remember when I used to make fun of you about that? And now I watch guys' grocery games on loop.
Yes, I'll never forget that. I've watched Guy Fieri be at people's restaurants and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna make a stuffed crust." Never looks as good as Pizza Hut.
No, it ain't.
Never.
It ain't. Javier says this is all pointless. They're going to hire Gannon from Philly and once again prove they have no idea how to run a franchise. I think that's harsh. I know he's not the sexiest name, but I truly think they're going through this process. I think if they arrive at Gannon, I don't think that's like some sort of sign that they don't know what the hell they're doing. So I would disagree there.
The thing with Gannon that could be disappointing to people is
he interviewed last year.
And people are going to say to themselves, well, you could be a year into Jonathan Gannon. Yes, and you'd be picking 9th or 10th because he's a much better coach than Lovie Smith. And you would not have an avenue to a franchise quarterback if Jonathan Gannon was 1 year into his coaching career as the head coach of the Houston Texans. I would also say I would like to end up with Jonathan Gannon a whole hell of a lot more than ending up with David Culley and Lovie Smith. Okay? So remember Landry, they ended up with both those guys because in the first cycle, they interviewed most of the top candidates. It felt like Matt Eberflus, Eric Bieniemy, all the people that were in that cycle, they interviewed a lot of those guys. Last year, the list, not as impressive. Maybe they talked to O'Connell. Maybe they didn't. Lombardi, he's fired now. Brian Flores, he sued. The list was not super impressive last year. You end up with Lovie Smith. The list is great. I'm trying not to hold DeMeco and Sean Payton and Steichen against Jonathan Gannon. It's hard not to, but if you settle for a sirloin after you've been eating chili out of the can, it certainly still tastes good.
Sirloin can be nice. Cat Daddy says, I'm not sure they're willing to give Ryans long enough leash. Old habits die slowly. I still see them hiring a guy. Comparing DeMeco Ryans to like the David Culley Lovey thing I think it's pretty silly. they didn't hire David Culley and Lovie Smith because they wanted to control someone. No one wanted the gig. Like, look at what happened. You had the Watson trade rumors, blah, blah, blah. The Watson sexual allegations in year 2, 75 million dead cap. It wasn't a popular gig. Like, just look at the list. They didn't hire those guys because they wanted to control them. Because if they were obsessed with controlling guys, they would have never fired the guys. So we've got to be on like a clear path. Like, criticize the team. I criticize the team more than anybody. Like, but just have a clear line of thinking and think about what you're saying before you criticize them, because that doesn't make any sense. If they wanted to control, like Jerry Jones, when he was in control, like control mode, he kept Dave Campo for 3 years, kept him for 3 years. So like this, if they wanted to control someone, they would have never fired David Culley. It never would have happened. He was a puppet.
Yeah. If they were dead set on control, they would have kept Culley for 2 and then hired McCown. Here's something that is, and this is it's a hard conversation to have as a Texans fan and having watched this team the past couple of years. When they hire this coach, we have got to stop being afraid of what happens if this guy's not good. We have you cannot hire somebody based on.
You gotta be scared, bro.
What it will look. Look. You cannot hire someone based on what's going to happen if they're not any good. You have to hire someone based on what happens if they're good. Like, we're talking about, oh, they're not going to give DeMeco a long enough. They're not going to have to worry about that. DeMeco's going to be good. He's going to have a quarterback. They're going to be awesome in a couple of years. Like, if they hire Shane Steichen, they're going to have a quarterback. They're going to be good in a couple of years. They're going to be awesome. Like, I understand that you have been beaten down as a Texans fan over the past couple of years, from the O'Brien years to the David Culley experiment to the Lovie Smith letdown. But my God, can we stop worrying about what happens if these guys come in and fail and start thinking about what happens if these guys come in and succeed?
There you go. I like your passion. Slim Hardaway. Cody has some of the best takes in the city. Very sensible guy. I agree. Cody has the best grasp of the city that you will find. So I would very much agree with that. Jim says Pizza Hut fell off. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. I'm just not. I'm very pro Pizza Hut. So I do miss the square, the circle middle thing.
Oh, the little thing that keeps the box from collapsing in on itself.
Yeah, why'd they get rid of that?
I bet you some idiot in marketing. I bet you some idiot in marketing ran the numbers and was
what do you think? What do you think of Figgy's take that pizza is pizza?
Is sex? Because not all sex is the same.
Figgy says pizza is pizza. He says some is good, but it's overhyped, and at the end of the day, it's pizza. Like when pizza snobs say, "Ooh, Pizza Hut," or "Ooh, Domino's," or "Ooh, Papa John's." He said that. I can kind of get down with it.
It's not a turkey sandwich.
You know what Lopez said, though? You know what Lopez said?
Oh, I can't wait to hear this. This is the most out-of-touch eater in the world.
Lopez said salad is salad. There's a bigger gap between salad than maybe any other food.
Bro, that's wild. He would say that. Salad is salad.
That's what he said.
That's terrible. That's terrible. So you get a salad, no croutons versus salad with croutons. You're telling me that no croutons is better? Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite understand it.
So you put up a good question here. Where Figgy says, who is the David Culley this year? There doesn't seem to be a what the hell are they doing pivot in this coaching list. Maybe Thomas Brown, but I don't know that any of us believe
Thomas Brown's nice, man. Thomas Brown has charisma. Thomas Brown's nice.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days? Riz.
Don't try to get me up with that. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
It's got to be around at least 2 years for my old ass to like support it now. I can't be just picking up on the lingo. I ain't down like that.
Thomas Brown is the most unique resume in this coaching search. He's the guy that I have no question that he would go out there and win a press conference. I just feel like most people would be unimpressed with him ending up as the head coach.
Yeah, him and Evero are like the two most like.
I wonder if they hired him. I wonder if they talked to him because he's Brown's going to interview for an OC job somewhere.
Yeah, maybe he could be the OC.
I wonder if that was a conversation of him being an OC on one of these staffs. That's why, like I said this past week, I'd call Frank Reich and Cliff Kingsbury in for head coach interviews and disguise it as,
God,
do you want to be the OC?
oh my God.
Here's the tough part. Okay. Have you talked about this with the fact that if you hire DeMeco or Gannon, there's 13 offensive coordinator jobs open in the league right now?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a
You're
ton.
fighting
DeMeco
uphill
knows
battle.
who he's hiring. DeMeco ain't fighting. Like all these coaches, if they're worth a damn, they have a pretty good idea of who their staff will be. It ain't going to be a fight. They're proactively forming their staff. Like you don't turn down a head coaching job with the hopes of coming in for a year and then like a year later and not have an idea who your staff is.
Yeah, your time away from working on the 49ers defensive coordinator job is prepping to be a head coach the following year. That's what you're working on in your free time. That's what you're spending time on.
So I could see some of these guys maybe coming in and getting more opportunities. I want to throw the nightmare scenario out there for you.
Yeah, what do you keep talking about this nightmare scenario? I'm already going to wake up in sweats because they don't have the number 1 pick for the next 100 days.
Don't bring that up. The nightmare scenario for me right now is that the Texans want DeMeco Ryans. The Colts want DeMeco Ryans, and he chooses Indy over Houston. That would be the most damning thing. That would almost be like you might just need to punt on everything if the Texans decide they want DeMeco and he picks Indianapolis, because you can't compare those two situations to me. That's a disaster.
That's like your crush dating you and then marrying your bully. Like, that would be, God, that'd be brutal. And they might trade up for the quarterback you want. Like, yes. Imagine Bryce Young and DeMeco Ryans kicking your ass for 10 years. It would drive me nuts. He wouldn't look good in blue.
What are they doing? What are they doing in Indy? I can't figure this out. They've interviewed 14 guys so far.
I think
14.
Did you have this theory? I was listening before I got on. Do you have the theory that it's a cover so they can hire Saturday?
Yeah, so that Jim Irsay can go up there. So that Jim Irsay can go up there and say, "We did the most extensive search of anybody. I talked to coach from each division. We talked to offensive guys. We talked to defensive guys. We talked to everybody in the world, and just none of them had as much of a grasp of what we're about as Jeff Saturday. Last year, Jeff Saturday was shorthanded. It was kind of borrowed time. But after speaking to 20 guys or whatever, Jeff Saturday is the guy for this job. And I want our fans to be on board with this, because there's no way you need to talk to 14 guys, bro. There's no way you need to talk to 14 guys.
How about that weird bathroom story?
Do you believe that?
I do, because it's Dan Dockich, and it's so weird that why would you make that up?
It's Dan Dockich. He is big in Indy, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dan had a radio show in Indianapolis forever.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make something up about the guy, why would you make that up? Oh, he was in the bathroom for an hour? I did see a lot of people taking liberties with the fact that he was in the bathroom for an hour. And
yeah, I saw all the theories.
You know, what he was doing in the bathroom.
But what are they doing? What are they doing?
What is Indy doing?
What's going on?
I
actually, I asked my dude Kevin Bowen to handicap it if he had to bet right now. He told me when I texted him, I don't think I'm like breaking. He does the morning show up there. You've seen him on Hard Knocks.
He's fantastic.
He gave Jeff Saturday a 27% chance. And he said if he had to bet right now they haven't spoken with Kafka. They're going to talk to him Sunday as well. And they hadn't spoken to DeMeco when I talked to him. He said he would bet on Raheem Morris. He said that would be his bet. I was like, okay. Can you give me the limo company in Indianapolis, and I will go ahead and pay for that limo to get him to the press conference. Thank you.
If you pay for the limo, I'll buy the champagne for it to be on ice when he's there. I mean, my God, Raheem Morris?
That's what they said. And I like Raheem all right. I mean, I think Raheem is he's a pretty good coach. It's just that wouldn't strike fear in me.
What do you make of
Indianapolis?
Scare you
the most with Indy, with no DeMeco?
What do you make of Indianapolis not talking to Payton?
I mean, like, I think
you're the only team.
Yeah, it might be to save the embarrassment.
You think him and Irsay wouldn't get along?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, Irsay's already, like, the whole thing about Caserio and Cal is like judging the last 2 years, like the last 2 years of the Texans is weird. Like, you can't judge the last 2 years of the Texans the same. Indianapolis, like, they just completely bailed on Frank Reich when if there was a chance, like, they could have turned it around.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he didn't at least get the end of the year. So I don't know. I don't think Payton would have even wanted to go to Indy.
So who scares me in Indianapolis? I think there's 3 names that would scare me in Indianapolis. Shane Steichen, because I believe he's a really good coach.
Okay, Steichen.
And so Steichen would scare me. Kafka would scare me because I also believe he's a little bit. I think he needs a little bit more time than maybe a Steichen, but it's there. Andy Reid saw it. It's there. The other name that would scare me is probably not exactly, but I believe they'd be on the right track in a hurry, is Dan Quinn.
Yeah, I like Quinn.
I don't think Dan's taking a job because I wonder if Jerry's told Dan he's the interim when Mike McCarthy gets fired next year.
Well, I think Mike McCarthy gets fired if they embarrass themselves in San Fran. Like, I know everybody's saying he's safe. I think he's fired if they embarrass themselves in San Fran. I think he's done.
Would they promote Dan Quinn to head coach, you believe?
I think they would consider it because he's already got the dynamic with Micah Parsons. He's already really well respected.
Payton.
Yeah. And then I'm sure they would, like, entertain the Payton possibility, but I think he gets fired if he embarrasses himself. I don't think they're going to embarrass themselves, though.
I'd be really nervous if I was a Colts fan that Saturday's a real consideration.
Well, no kidding.
But, like, it's one thing for him to be the interim and everybody laugh at him and Irsay to take a victory lap after they beat the dilapidated Raiders. It's another thing for the guy to lose 7 straight games. Yeah, he's on team tank, yada, yada. How do you sell that to people?
You just try. I mean, I don't know. Like,
How come they don't like your guy Bubba?
I love Bubba Ventrone, man. I think Bubba's the man. I thought they were going to hire Bubba Ventrone. I don't know why they didn't let him interim. But the thing about Saturday is, you, like, any hope of Jeff Saturday, like, the mystique, it kind of wore off, like, as you actually watched him coach.
Damn
like,
near immediately.
Yeah, it was gone. Although they won their first game. Jared asks, why Gannon, though? I hear Eagle fans don't like him. See, of all the criticism of Jonathan Gannon, I think there is some criticism where you say, hey, their defense is awesome. The talent's there, whatever. Or, not too many teams wanted to talk to him. Okay, that's fine. But don't listen to Eagles fans when it comes to who they do and don't like. They hated Andy Reid at the end. They hated Doug Peterson at the end. They hate everybody. They hate every coach. They hate everyone. So don't listen to them. Shout out to Philadelphia, though. It's an awesome city, but their fans are very, very negative, and they hate every effing coach that they have. Scott asks, any chance we see Joe Brady as our OC? What is he even doing now?
He's the quarterback's coach in Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't know I think Joe Brady, there's a chance he's on Sean Payton's staff. I think that's
a great call, especially after the story Brooks told the other day.
Yeah, and that was Sean Payton's guy in New Orleans before he went there. So I could see that. Corey Murphy, why can't we look at Byron Leftwich? They might.
Not any good.
Yeah, but if you talk to anyone in Tampa Bay, they're not big fans of the offense. And I saw Orlovsky do kind of a breakdown of it. I don't know. He'll figure something out. Alex asks, would hiring a defensive-minded head coach make the Texans pass on a QB at 2 for defense? No, it would not. The defensive coach wants the quarterback as much as anyone else does.
I would think that it might even be a prerequisite to take the job that you're taking a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm sure they ask, who do you like? I mean, that's got to be an interview question, right? What would you do with the number 2 pick?
What this is something, and I can't take credit for it because I saw somebody point it out on Twitter, but it's a worthwhile conversation. You know, there's a lot of hand wringing, and I've been guilty of it in the past. A lot of hand wringing about this guy coaches defense, and he's not the offensive coach. Would you like to take a guess at how many of the longest tenured coaches in the NFL coach defense? Or were defensive background guys?
Belichick doesn't. Tomlin doesn't. Don't have offensive backgrounds?
Yeah, there were defensive coaches before being a head coach.
The special teams count as defense because I know Harbaugh was.
Well, before that, he coached in the secondary, did he not? He was a defensive backs coach in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so you have Harbaugh, Tomlin, Belichick. Who's even
It's 5 of the top 6 longest tenured coaches. You said it. Belichick, Tomlin, Harbaugh. Those are the 3 longest tenured. Pete Carroll. Andy Reid's the offensive guy. And then Sean McDermott, who was hired in 2017 and is 1 game away from being in the AFC Championship.
I think it's as simple as the quarterback because you're even seeing Belichick and Tomlin struggle without the quarterback. Like Sean McDermott has Josh Allen. If the Jets had a quarterback, they would be in the postseason. I think we kind of oversimplify it. Although there are examples of guys who don't.
I mean, it's as simple as Landry. Deshaun Watson got Bill O'Brien a contract extension. Like Deshaun Watson was good in 2018 and got Bill O'Brien a contract extension. Like the quarterback matters so much. So much.
I mean, it's everything. In most cases, that's what everything's going to come down to. So yeah, I get it. And I think that is something they'll have to look to. But I don't think DeMeco is just like going to completely ignore offense or anything like that.
You're talk about him being sort of you read these profiles on DeMeco and the way that his teammates and the players that got coached by him talk about him. And you hear about the attention to detail and how much he understood offense and how I think it was one of their safeties to the Athletic said, we could hear him when they would relay the play. DeMeco was telling us it's going to be this, it's going to be this, then the headset cuts off and then the play happens and it's exactly what DeMeco was saying. And then you go back to Philadelphia. This was in the Ringer. They would install 2 defenses on weeks where DeMeco was hurt. One for if DeMeco played and one for if DeMeco didn't play. Because if he played, he could navigate everything on the field. He would tell guys what's coming. Like, yes, I understand he coaches defense. He is not unaware of what it takes to be successful in offense in the league. Like, the guy has a it factor brain that you hear about some of these offensive guys, but he has it for defense. And it's like, you got to know how to play defense and how to stop offense in this league to be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think it's like some sort of like. I think there's just like a deeper thought to it than that. What do you make of this Sean Payton stuff now? Is Denver the foregone conclusion? Sean Pendergast, who you hear 6 to 10 on In the Loop or on Sports Radio 610. By the way, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. It is the locker room if you're just pulling up in here. He's starting to think he's going to go back to the broadcast booth.
Wow.
For me, he's just. I mean, it's just talk. The fact that he's even using that. This was kind of where I was sour on Payton, and Payton was never my number 1 choice. I wasn't gonna as I've said the whole time, I wasn't gonna throw stuff. But to me, whenever I hear someone or a coach say, I might go back to broadcasting, or I like my guys at Fox, I automatically think about John Gruden. I mean, he did that for damn near a decade. And I just think cash grab, I think game kind of pass you by type of thing. As soon as you start talking, especially when you suck at it, like Gruden was at least really awesome.
Like
Sean
banana,
Payton
baby.
sucks in the Fox studio. He is terrible.
Here's why Sean Payton is not. Here's why Sean Payton's not going back to Fox, because Sean Payton goes down the ladder at Fox when Brady shows up, because I'm assuming they're going to use some Brady stuff throughout the course of the week. And then I'm also going to assume that Greg Olson is going to find himself with a lot more work and a lot more free time as well. And Greg Olson's very good. And here's another reason.
I'm glad he gets a chance. You know what I was most happy about, and this is just me being a nerdy ass dude.
He gets to call Super Bowl.
Yes, because I think it's hilarious that they offered Tom Brady that top spot. I don't know if Tom Brady's going to be good at this. I mean, I know guys have proven different wrong, but I'm glad that Olsen gets that prime stage just to show how good he is.
Here's another reason Sean Payton's not going back to Fox, because he doesn't make $20 million a year at Fox. You're not passing up a year of potential earnings at $25 million.
I think he makes $2 million.
Yeah, so you're gonna go one more year.
But as soon as you start doing that, do you not agree? Like, how bad do you really want to coach, sir?
Oh,
I know the jobs aren't great, but how bad
Landry,
do you want to coach, sir?
He's a god in New Orleans. He walked away. Like, we don't talk about this enough. He quit. This is a league where you're supposed to go out on your shield. You're supposed to play till your body can't handle it anymore.
And I always hear people, and he's part of the reason that it wasn't appealing. That's the other thing that I think is funny, is he's part of the reason that it was unappealing. And the other thing is this, like people say,
they are three times worse. They are 3 times worse in cap space than the 30th ranked team in the NFL in bad cap space. They're 3 times worse.
And he helped out. And the other thing is this. Like, okay, well, he just needed a recharge, and sometimes, divorce is a good thing. Okay, well,
cool.
You think if Drew Brees were still in his prime, he would be gone? And this is not a new take. This is what I've been saying the whole time.
He quit. Football shouldn't support quitters.
I don't see why. I don't see why we don't do like we don't like at least like look at some sort of potential negatives with Sean Payton. Like, I'm not saying that it's like but like there's no outside of like draft comp. Like a lot of people are like, well, would you trade this for a Super Bowl? Like, I mean, come on. Like it's like a Super Bowl guaranteed.
He traded a first for Marcus Davenport. He traded a future first for a guy that wasn't even one of the 8 best defenders on their team. He took that team into, like, they've been in salary cap hell for a few years. The final years of Drew Brees were not as good as they were supposed to be because they didn't have any money to spend. Like him and Mickey Loomis ran that thing into the ground, and then he walked away. That's why I think Mickey Loomis ought to stick it to whatever team he goes to. Sean Payton quit on him. They're paying him. He's the second highest compensated coach in the entire league behind Belichick. He has run of the building. He does whatever the hell he wants. They do whatever the hell he wants. And it got too hard for him, and he had to leave. That's a quitter, man. I'm not trying to hire that guy and hand my entire franchise over to him.
And you're looking at Sean Payton, and I keep like the Super Bowl was in 2009. And these aren't new takes. You and I haven't been like Sean Payton like or bust. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The last 8 seasons, he went 7-9, 7-9, 7-9, 11-5, lost to the Vikings, 13-3, lost to the Rams. There was a bad call though. 13-3, lost to the Vikings in the wild card round. 12-4. Lost to Tampa Bay in the divisional round, and then he went 9-8. Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't bring credibility. I'm not saying that he doesn't like bring something, but like he doesn't have Drew Brees. Like, I don't know how that's like he went 9-8 with Taysom Hill and like a mix of things. Okay. Well, Nick Sirianni went 9-8. Mike McDaniel went 9-8. Ryan Dable went 10-7, I think. So like, I don't dislike Sean Payton. I just think we're just like stuck. it's been 13 years since he won the Super Bowl. Texans have never even been to a conference championship. So if we're comparing that, that's fine. But he's 59 years old. He walked away from the game. It's not the same thing.
Couple of things, one small, one big, that I want to give credit to my co-host BK on. Fun stat for you. No coach has ever won the Super Bowl as the head coach with two different franchises. Okay? No quarterback had done it with two different franchises until Payton did it. Then Brady did it later. But in the history of the NFL, no coach has ever won the Super Bowl with two different franchises. I think that's something to think about when you think about how hard this job is. The other thing, BK calls him skinny Mike McCarthy. And it's kind of hard to not agree with that sentiment. They both won one Super Bowl. They both were regular playoff underachievers.
Now, Don Shula did win it. Don Shula did win an NFL championship and a Super Bowl.
That's why the caveat is the Super Bowl, not the NFL championship.
Gotcha. These slick mofos.
But Breeze and Payton and McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, not even just like, okay, winning it. They each won one together. They went to one together. Like it's not like damn, everything goes through New Orleans. Like, yeah, you had to go to New Orleans sometimes, but you know, you had people going through New Orleans and Green Bay on a regular basis, making their way to the Super Bowl. You know, so it's like, it's not Belichick. It's not Mike Tomlin. It's not.
And it's not even John Gruden. Like when John Gruden was 29, like the comparison to that trade it's hilarious. Like John Gruden, first of all, he's 29. Sean Payton's 59. Second of all, he never left. He didn't quit. So he was still there. Like in the game, he almost went to a Super Bowl. The roster
that like it's cool to trade 2 firsts and 2 seconds and whatever else they traded for John Gruden when you've got like 4 Hall of Famers on the roster. They had Warren Sapp and Brooks and Barber and all those dudes on there. Like, and they're asking for maybe the same compensation. You can't. Part of the attractiveness to the Texans' job is the draft compensation. It's really hard to give that up.
Yeah,
like, nobody can really like. You can't really sit here and tell me Sean Payton is that much better than whoever the coach is going to be and the 12th overall pick.
Well, people start listing like names of 12th overall picks, and it's like, come on, like, what are we doing? You won't. All right, well then just give away 2 because Mitch Trubisky got drafted number 2. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on, let's not be silly. I don't understand that. Like, and the other thing that I wondered about Sean Payton, and I think free agents, there's a chance that free agents would want to come play with him, and there's a chance that he's going to coach up guys, so that can cancel out the draft pick. That there's a chance. But like, I don't know about his coaching staff because for how long he's been in the game, it's probably one of the most unimpressive coaching trees that I think you can imagine given the success he had. You have Dennis Allen, Doug Marrone, Curtis Johnson, and I think you can maybe throw McCarthy on there or something like that. Like he's the ultimate I got this guy. The league is kind of changing. Like the Siriannis, the McDermotts, the Dable right off the top. Like, I'm so
glad you brought this up.
They're talking about Vic Fangio and like Joe Brady and all this type of stuff. It's like, I don't think that I think Sean Payton's going to have a bunch of OG. He's not like Parcells. He coached under Parcells. Like Bill Parcells knew how to find a coaching staff. Like if you coached under Parcells, you were going to be a head coach and you were probably going to be a decent one in some way, shape, or form. Sean Payton's coaching tree is not like incredible. They're talking about Vic Fangio being defensive coordinator or Mike Zimmer. Cool, but I mean,
great name. Both guys got run out of the league.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they're good coordinators. I don't know.
You're making such a great point. You're making such a great point here because look who's successful in the NFL right now. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni's an offensive guy. He doesn't even call the plays. He's hired a good enough offensive coordinator to call the plays for him. He's an offensive mind. He's got a defensive coordinator that's gotten 3-4 head coach interviews in the past couple of seasons. You look in, okay, it's like, okay, well, Cody, well, what about Kansas City? Look at the absolute monster brain trust that Andy Reid has put around him in the past couple of years. He had Kafka on that staff as a quarterback's coach. Right now, he's got Matt Nagy on that staff as an offensive mind. Okay, whatever you want to say about Eric Bieniemy, he's probably not a head coach, probably never going to be a head coach. Andy Reid clearly likes him enough to have him around. It's clearly been a positive. It hadn't been a negative for them. Think about the staff. Think about Sean McDermott. McDermott lost Brian Daboll, promoted the quarterback's coach, and they're one game away from the AFC Championship. Think about Brian Daboll. He hires Mike Kafka and lets him call the plays. Daboll takes over as the head coach and is like, you know what? I got a lot of shit I got to clean up. Here's the play caller right here for you. Like, you got to be able to hire a badass staff to succeed. There's no more. I go back to those Harbaugh staffs. Harbaugh had really good staffs, man. He had really good staffs for that era of the NFL. Had a lot of really good coaches. We can make fun of Jim Tomsula. He was a terrible head coach. Jim Tomsula was a bad mamma jamma when it came to coaching defensive linemen when he was on Jim Harbaugh's staff. He coached up some very average guys.
Talking Jim Tomsula. Wow.
I'm telling Landry, the staff matters. You just talked about this. The whole staff matters. I don't want a guy who quit and walked away from football and is hiring a bunch of his old buddies to be the coach.
Chris says, I'm getting antsy. My dog's sitting here throwing a fit. She doesn't like Cody mentioning Jim Tomsula. Look who's here. Figgy Fig. What's up, man? How you doing, sir? You've been weighing it. Where you at? You at the crib?
No, I'm at the office, man. I'm still in the trap, man.
That setup. How do you feel about this DeMeco stuff? How do you feel about this JJ endorsement, Josina Anderson tweeting, all that type of stuff?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried that that they might not be as interested in DeMeco, and he got a team behind them like JJ saying, "Hey, you know, bring him in, bring him in, bring him in." I'm kind of worried the Houston Texans feel like, nah, this ain't our guy. We kind of like Gannon a little more. So I'm a little worried, man. I ain't gonna,
man. We're to the point where Gannon's going to be like the disappointment.
I'm more disappointed that they didn't get him last year. They could have just got him last year. Did he turn the job down or something?
Maybe maybe it was a staffing thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I don't understand the interviewing two people in 2 years like that.
The same guy
in 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really understand that. Pizza's pizza. Tell Cody pizza's pizza. He got really upset by this.
And look, I'm not saying, you know, all pizza is exactly the same. I'm talking about the pizza snobs that sit here and say, oh, Pizza Hut. Oh no, I can't do. You got to go to this. You got to go to Luis Pizza over here. Like, come on, man. Like, if I bring some Pizza Hut to y'all gonna sit there and eat it.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, who gonna sit there and say, you know, no, I don't eat Pizza Hut at all. I'm not eating this pizza. Good or bad, we gonna sit there and eat the pizza. So all these pizza snobs on here, like, come on, man.
Pizza snobs are the worst. They're the worst snobs.
I could bring Little Caesars up here.
If you're bringing pizza, you're probably bringing a larger quantity if you've gone to Pizza Hut or Domino's or Papa John's or Little Caesars than if you've gone to the fancy place, because the fancy place is 3 times as expensive.
Yes, you paying like $20 for just one pizza.
Yeah, some of those, like when the pie starts being $35, that's a little crazy for me. I mean, what are we doing here? The hell is going on with that?
Yeah,
crazy.
I just don't get the people that's like, oh no, you go to that pizza spot. No, you got.
I maybe made a $35 Pizza Hut pizza one time.
Pizza Hut
on accident.
Dang, what did you get?
Dude,
double cheese. You double the toppings. You get the stuffed crust. You know, next thing you know,
it was only a pizza.
It was just one pizza.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Stupid, man.
It's
what about Kafka? We haven't really talked about Kafka. Kafka's going to get last dibs. He's going to get to do it after they try to beat the Eagles. I feel like Kafka is kind of the guy that, I don't know, man. I could see Caserio liking Kafka a lot. I also wonder, and this is like my theory, this is my conspiracy theory ish, which I threw out with like Jim Irsay interviewing 100 guys with Saturday. I also wonder if maybe Mike Kafka is just going to wait till Andy Reid retires, like in a year or so, because Kansas City would look into bringing him back as head coach. Because some people thought that they wanted Bieniemy to get another gig so that they could promote Kafka. I wonder if Kafka would let me put it this way. I wonder if Kafka is one of the guys who can wait for the perfect opportunity instead of just taking any opportunity.
Pull like the like an NFL version of Kirby Smart, where he just kind of waited, and then he finally took a great head coach job.
Maybe. I mean, some guys can wait.
I think the second part you said is more accurate than Andy Reid retire. I don't think Andy Reid retiring for a minute, man.
No, when you got Mahomes, you're crazy to retire. You can just sit there and kind of chill.
I thought it was crazy people talking about, oh, he can retire and Airbnb take. Why would he retire now?
It is fascinating to think about who's going to try to be in the building or be in consideration for two AFC thrones that are not going to be held by the two guys that hold it for the next, forever. Like O'Brien's trying to get the OC job in New England so he can be the next head coach. And you got Matt Nagy in the building in Kansas City. He was on Andy's staff before he took the Chicago job. You got Kafka adding to the resume. So it's like kind of a fun to think about, like the race to replace the legend.
And Belichick seems to be Gerard Mayo, which I think a lot of people are okay with. Did you
that's
see
that's gonna be funny when Bill's back there and Gerard Mayo's gonna be his boss.
Did you see the latest rumor? Speaking of Tennessee, or we didn't even speak of Tennessee, but DeAndre Hopkins to the Titans.
Rabel. Here's the weird thing about Tennessee. Bad salary cap situation. If Hop wants more money,
that doesn't mean a damn thing. Come on. How many times we heard that?
Does Hop want to play with Ryan Tannehill?
I don't know if it's going to be Ryan Tannehill.
Okay, well, who's their quarterback going to be?
I don't know. Hop knows how to play with bad quarterbacks. Does he want to play with Mac Jones?
Like the money's not unlimited, bud. Like at some point, the money becomes.
It kind of is.
Not unlimited.
It kind of is. I kind of seen the Rams give all these deals and stuff. It kind of is.
Where are the Rams now?
Yeah, but they still gave the money.
Where are the Rams now?
Well, they're saying F them picks till the picks F you. But there is, the money, you can make the money. How many new deals is DeAndre Hopkins going to want, by the way?
As many as somebody will give him. The Titans have to get a new, by the way, my favorite potential thing to happen, not my favorite, one of my things I want to have happen this offseason is I want the Titans to cut Ben Jones and I want him to be the center next year.
Bro, that's as silly as this Kubiak stuff, man. You want to bring back freaking I don't even know. Like,
are we gonna act like Ben Jones isn't a good football player? I mean, because that's a weird thing to do.
He's hurt and he's older, man.
Weird thing to do.
DeMeco? Was he on the team when DeMeco was here?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, hired. That kind of make all the sense in the world.
They do need a center. He's not worse than
Yeah, I'm sorry you want to watch Scott Quessenberry play again another year.
I'm sorry you were carrying Justin Britt's water all off season.
What happened to the
right.
Did they update us on the other dude?
Justin Britt?
Yeah.
Cody's guy? Cody's got a customized Brit in his closet.
You were trying to get him a shift over at the spot, man. You were trying to get him a radio job.
Nah, I wouldn't. That annoys me when people do that. Seth says that all the time on there. I'm like, come on, man. Oh, he's got a future in radio if he wants it. It's like, come on, man. The hell are we doing here?
Justin Britt did some grunge rock radio in Seattle.
He interviewed Post Malone.
Cool. So
he do have
a million other people.
Interviewed Post Malone, man, back in the day. That happened.
I mean, how do you get Hop if you're the Titans? You can't trade 11 for him.
No, he ain't a first-round guy at this point. He ain't a first-round dude. That ain't gonna happen.
They got to draft a tackle.
Chop in the chat says, notice how Green regressed when Britt retired. He wasn't even playing. He wasn't even starting. What do you mean Green regressed? I was at camp the whole time. The dude wasn't even starting with the he wasn't even with the ones. He was out of shape and he was hurt. And in week one, he didn't even start.
Chop.
Come on, Chop.
That's a
chop
reach.
Yourself in the nuts with that comment. He regressed. That's a try to. The center's important. He makes the guard better.
I got news
Not
for
in
you.
that situation.
There was nothing to regress from. Kenyon Green was bad all year long. You couldn't regress.
Man, I got to see him. I'm going to be the biggest, I'm going to be looking up Kenyon Green.
You're about to be a body guy in OTAs. Yeah. You're about to be a body guy.
Yeah. You know who's going to come in jacked? Quintariano. I guarantee you Quintariano looks like a different person.
Well, I mean, I would think so. He's probably going to have an off season. Guy's been hurt for a year.
I think these three people were not really all in on Sean Payton the whole time. I think this is like a trio of guys that weren't in on it. It's not. I don't know. Huh?
Who, us?
Yeah. I don't think we were 100% in on it.
Nah. I was out when he was talking about trading a first round pick. I'm like, nah.
I was out when he quit in New Orleans.
If he was totally free, I was good with bringing him in to see what's up. I'm not trading nothing for him, man.
Man, that's the thing. Is like people are like, well, what about when Kansas City did the Andy Reid thing? Didn't give up a first round pick. What about look at Jacksonville with Doug Peterson? Didn't give up a first round pick.
Michael Stanley, not the Michael Stanley from Cleveland, but rest in peace. Wait, he passed away, right?
He did.
Great dude, legend. What is up with Josina? I don't know, Fig. What do you think is up with Josina?
She don't be saying nothing, man. What she be saying? She be making her tweets so difficult to understand. I
have no idea what she was saying. I don't know.
She was driving me nuts during that Deshaun Watson stuff, man.
Who isn't going to use their leverage? These NFL reporters are so weird now.
They're starting to get baseball reporters, man.
It's almost weird. I can't figure them out. Outside of Schefter and Rappaport, they put something out and then it's there, but I can't figure it out. It's weird. Really weird. Strange.
So she pretty much saying DeMeco got more leverage.
Sure. If they're gonna offer him the job, of course he does. Who doesn't?
JJ Watt tweet give him more leverage. I don't think Nick Caserio give a damn about a JJ Watt tweet. So that tweet just give him more leverage of being a head coach.
I don't really even understand. I didn't understand the leverage to begin with. That was what was confusing.
I mean, do we got to trade for him?
I don't know, man.
It's leverage.
It's weird because it doesn't I'm not the protect the team from the national media guy, but it's funny because first it's no one wants this job. Then it's just been an ongoing revolving thing. Where's Tony Dungy at?
He's too worried about bathroom etiquette.
Is that what happened to him?
He had another rally.
He got.
I didn't see that. I didn't even see that. I was making fun of Tony Dungy before any of this, so none of that has anything to do with me. I just thought he sucked last Saturday. I thought he was terrible. I don't know anything about what he said.
He got tricked by a fake story.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, he did
not try to backpedal and turn it into some take that he wanted to have.
The guy doesn't even know the NFL today, and he is in studio every week. How is he going to know news?
Man, NBC's crew is rough sometimes.
Rodney's nice though.
I like Rodney.
Garrett's not bad. I know you're going to say Garrett sucks. Garrett ain't bad.
Collinsworth's kid is terrible.
Come on, man. He does a good job.
For his role.
He does a good job.
If his name was John Smith, he'd be in Tulsa, Oklahoma doing the news. Jesus
so what?
Christ.
So what?
You got the joke. His last name's Collinsworth, and he sucks.
Shout out to the Tulsa people. No, why you got to take a shot at Tulsa? Why couldn't you just say a small
Tulsa's a good
town?
market. It's a big catapult market for people to work their way up to it. I like Rodney.
Tarico's elite.
Tarico's great.
Chris Collinsworth still good.
Collinsworth's very entertaining.
All right. So where's the crew? Where's the crew problems, Hater?
Everybody else kind of sucks. I like Florio a lot.
Florio does a good job on there. I think they
I
do
like
a good
Florio
crew.
a lot.
I think they do a
I
good
like
job.
Sims. I
I
like
like-
Sims.
So two
He
people
gets-
suck.
Sims gets too mad when people don't agree with him, though, and I'm guilty of that myself. So I can't be. I'm not throwing from a glass house here, but like he gets kind of angry on social media sometimes.
Man, what about so we got all the crews this week. The Fox crew's good.
Fox
crew's good.
gets doubled.
What about Romo and Nance have stepped it up this year?
Well,
I feel like Amazon, because they were terrible last year. They had a bad year.
They were bad
I feel
last year.
like Nance might have talked to Romo and said, dude, you got to get it together. Like, I love you. You got to get it together, because I feel like Amazon actually made them elevate their game, because Nance and Romo are back to where they were before.
Well, I think I don't know that you're right, but after they watch the Ghost of Al Michaels call games this year, maybe they take it back down a notch.
What a jerk he is, by the way.
I
I
didn't
know he was this smug.
I was on Al Michaels sucking for 2 years, and everybody was like, "You're just a hater, man." I'm like, "Nah, he sucks. He sucks." Tirico runs circles around him. Amazon should fire Al Michaels and hire Ian Eagle.
Why didn't Ian Eagle get more love?
I don't know. I think he does too many things.
So what? So does Jim Nance.
And if they can't get Ian Eagle, they should fire Al Michaels and hire Gus Johnson.
Man, people hate Gus because he yells. Like the broadcast nerds hate Gus. I think Gus is the best.
Gus is entertaining as hell. And the promo reads that he does.
What happened to
Lord.
Talib? Oh, yeah. Didn't he get in a fight at a Pee Wee game or something?
Somebody got killed, I want to say.
Oh,
What,
yeah.
what?
The Pee Wee game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember somebody got shot and killed at a
Oh,
Pee-wee?
yeah. And it was like his, I don't want to put, just look up. Pee Wee
Man.
thing. I don't want to say anything that happened that didn't. I know that there was
It was a situation that happened at a Pee-wee game. And I think brothers was there.
So we got NBC, we got CBS, we got Fox twice. Obviously, Burkhart and Olsen are on Cows Niners, right?
duh.
Who's the other Fox crew?
They might do both. I don't know.
Oh, do they do? They didn't do.
It might be Sanchez. Maybe I think Sanchez deserves a chance. Or is he CBS? Sanchez was good with the Texans. Mark Sanchez was nice.
Hold on, I can find this.
Lil Homie says, Romo, one of the best commentators. What are these white boys smoking? I didn't say he was one of the best. I said he's gotten better since he sucked last year.
He had a roller
Yeah.
coaster, man.
He had a good start. Then he went down. It's
Oh.
like the opposite of his career. Like his career was down here, and then it went up. His broadcasting career went here, then it went down, and it's gone slightly up.
You know who we got for Giants Eagles?
Give me a
Joe
hint.
Davis, Daryl Johnston,
Okay.
and Pam Oliver.
What is with Moose's style? Pam Oliver's elite. What is with Moose's style?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Why does
Pam
he try to
Oliver's
dress like
elite?
Steve Harvey? Yes. Why does Daryl Johnston try to dress like Steve Harvey?
I don't know. You got to have personality to stand out when you're a fullback.
I don't think he can pull it. I
Well,
don't think he can pull it.
that's never stopped white men from trying to dress better for many years. So
Speaking of Cal's 49ers, our coworker, mine and Figgy's coworker, by the way, Figgy, you just got done with Gyms and Juice, I assume.
Yes, we was breaking down the Shannon Sharp fight
Okay.
at the Lakers game.
All right. So check out the Gyms and Juice podcast, GEMS and Juice podcast, wherever you get your thing. I'm actually going to check that out because I don't know much about the fight. So I will definitely check that out. I went to the movies. I went and saw
right now.
I went and saw that Tom Hanks movie.
where he plays like the old widower.
Cried. Good movie.
Did you get
Good
a large
movie.
popcorn?
Come on, you know me. But I what was I talking about?
I don't know. I can't believe you just passed up.
Yeah, our coworker.
I can't believe you just tried to throw Pam Oliver into the elite category.
I think Pam Oliver's good.
I don't want to make
Was I
light
talking
of the
about
situation.
broadcasting or something?
You were getting ready to talk about one of your coworkers somethings. But
Let me get this in so I don't forget.
okay.
Speaking on that 49ers Cowboys, and we'll get a look at DeMeco Ryans. Did you see my boy Tyler Milner's tweet today? I said he needed some sleep. I said he needed some sleep because he hadn't been sleeping enough. Man, he might need to just go into like a 48-hour coma this weekend and then get freshened up for work and get a recharge.
That's one of the worst tweets I've ever seen in my life.
Are you talking about the 49ers one?
I sent it to you.
Okay. He said, what is the first thing you think of when you think San Francisco 49ers? And he said, I'll go first. Vernon Davis. It comes to my mind.
Like, I ain't gonna lie. I forgot all about Vernon Davis, man.
Come on, man. Like, you don't even have to be. And Tyler's not like, he's not young. He's not old. But like,
he like, bro, how by me?
Vernon Davis? That's the first thing you think of with the 49ers?
Vernon Davis wasn't even good in Madden.
Yes, he was. His rookie year, he was. He had like 89 speed in Madden his rookie year. He was fast as hell.
Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
There's only about
over Jerry Rice.
There's only about 500 49ers that you think of before Vernon Davis.
Do you think the performance has anything, like if Kafka lights it up tomorrow, you think that helps his interview on Sunday?
I think it puts him in a better mood.
Or do you think it matters?
He could be a grumpy MFer if they lose. That's going to be a weird interview. He's going to be grumpy.
No, he won't.
Bro, all these guys are grumpy after they lose.
Man,
Lovey tried to fight Brooks Kabina after they lost one time.
Yeah, but I don't know what Lovey had against Brooks, of all people. I didn't quite understand.
It's going to be a weird interview tomorrow on Sunday.
Let's have somebody else ask a question. Hey, you don't tell me who I need to pick on.
Jonathan,
ask the question.
Jonathan, that okay with you? All right, we'll get back to you. All right. What do you think Lovey's doing right now? Is he trying to coach again, or is he cool?
I don't know.
I think he cool.
Some Big Ten team want him to run the program for 3 years and then hire somebody better?
Thought it was 5.
Yeah, but he ain't getting 5 years this time.
Yeah, it was 5. He was there for a while. Good Lord.
Big Sandy need a head coach?
I don't think he's going back to Big Sandy. He's not David Culley. David Culley's the one who wanted to go back to wherever the hell he was from.
I don't think
Where was he in Tennessee? Sparta. I love David Culley though. Culley was a good dude.
You know what he's been doing a lot since he got his knees fixed? Golfing. I didn't know he was he's a huge golfer.
Isn't he a lefty?
I think I remember seeing that at the Texans thing.
Damn,
one time.
David Culley on a golf course. He strikes me as someone who go to a golf course, David Culley, where they wear jeans.
Oh, he ain't getting fancy.
But I bet
he's wearing a collared shirt that he's had for 14 years.
I guarantee you he tips well. Like
yes.
Because I worked at a golf course. When you pick someone up and take them to their car, get their clubs, you want them to tip well. Yeah, I guarantee he tips well. Antoine Walker used to give me hundreds just for getting his clubs. And then he went broke.
Walker went broke.
It's all good. Tony Romo didn't even tip, dude.
Doesn't surprise me.
It's pretty whack.
He's still wealthy.
It's pretty whack. Regardless. Fellows, I appreciate y'all. I'll let y'all get out of here. We got a whole weekend ahead. I know Figgy's still at the station,
man. I'm still at the trap.
Look at that setup, bro. And that's right outside the boss's office. I didn't know it looked like that on the camera. You've got that looking fresh. It's like the open.
Yeah.
Hey, I got that too.
Okay.
Roadcaster. Okay. Roadcaster.
I'm behind on the times. I can't play no music.
It's the Roadcaster, man.
I got all the drops, man. I'm a drop king over here.
Yeah, we know that. All right, fellas, I appreciate y'all for coming through. Have a good football weekend, whatever you guys do. I appreciate y'all. Figgy Fig, Gems and Juice podcast, Cody Stutes, his YouTube channel too. Two guys I respect a lot. Two guys that got a pulse of what's going on. Fellas, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right, there we go. It's Figgy Fig, Cody Stutes. Fun times ahead. So to put a bow on it, DeMeco, he interviewed. JJ Watt gave him an endorsement. Josina Anderson got weird. He also interviewed with the Colts, who've interviewed 14 guys. The Mike Kafka interview will take place on Sunday. We got a hell of a divisional round in front of us, and it's a hell of an off season. It's a hell of a fun time. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, like. This is the #1 source of Texans digital content from guys who are around the team, close to the team, and have access that nobody else has online. Shout out to everyone else doing their thing online, digitally and stuff. Consume as much Texans information as you can, for better or worse. The search continues. The most exciting, important offseason continues. And no matter what happens, folks, no matter what happens, we are all in this together. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you at some point this week, and we might go after Kafka, but enjoy, and I appreciate you as always.